Hello everyone, this is Mike from the PunchEmUp team. Today I'm going to walk you through how I make a third-person character. Is this the best way to make a third-person character? Probably not. The main goal of this is to spread my knowledge with the rest of the PunchEmUp team and hopefully push you in the right direction if you are unsure how to set up a third-person character. This is a brand new third-person template. I have not done anything yet. This is as stock as it comes. So, the first thing I like to do when I open a third-person character, or any template, so I like to delete all of this stuff besides the floor. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Cool. And then we can make this uniform size. Obviously, you don't have to do any of this, but this is what I do. Is it this one? It's that one. Cool. So now that is center. And all we have is the floor and the player start. We can set that to 0, 0, bring it up a little bit just so it's out of the ground. Cool. So, you press play. It's just the third-person character. Nothing has changed. Okay. So, hopefully you have a character, because if not, then there really is no point to watch this video. You can get one straight from PunchEmUp. Just to warn you, the character that I'm going to be using is a custom-made skeleton. It is not a PunchEmUp skeleton. So some things may not match up. For the most part, it should. And then if I find a good PunchEmUp third-person video after this, I'll link it in the description. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new folder called Marley, because that is the name of the character I'm going to be working with. I'm going to grab my Marley rig and drag him in here. Okay, you're going to mark skeletal mesh, import animations, because if you don't, even if this is just a T-pose, I don't know if it does it in 5.4, but it used to just crash. Pretty sure everything else is the same. Just make sure you check import animations, skeletal mesh, import mesh, and then just import. My character is in here. The materials aren't linked up. I'll go through and fix the materials, and then I'll just cut back to when I have all of those fixed. Oh, just real quick, there's I have this nitpick to where, if you open something here, sometimes it doesn't open up here. What you can do is that if you go to, I think, editor preferences, at the top here, you can type in default, and you can see here, asset editor open location. Just set this to main window if you don't like it opening a new tab, because it's just really annoying. Another neat little trick, if you like your nodes to be straight, if you just select both at the same time and hit Q, it'll auto-straighten them. And the second one you do, so if I bring this over here and I select this one second, it'll align that. So if I do this and then that one, then it'll align it just fine. Okay, I got all the material set up, but I did leave some things undone just so I could show those out. So you see here, you can only see one side of these gauntlets here. So how you fix that is that if you go to your material, find the material that needs that, make sure this whole node is selected, and then right here at the very top, two-sided, you check that, apply, and then boom, they're two-sided. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that for every material that needs it. Okay. Some other things I wanted to show off. This fabric here, the size of the texture is like really big. So all you have to really do for that is, like, if you wanted to scale it down, if I go to the apron, is that if you have one of these texture coordinate nodes, right now I have it set to 50. I think that's like a good size. But as you can see, if I don't change it, then it's just massive. So I set it to 50, plug it into the UV slot. Normal maps and textures, I think all textures have this slot, at least on the texture sample. So now if I go back here, then it looks pretty good, and that normal is used a few times. And then I can see I missed one. I think that is the generator. Okay, I got that fixed. Now I want these goggles to kind of shine, so I want them to be emissive. So if I go to my goggles, I'm pretty sure if I just put this into the emissive, it will work. But then I think the whole thing will be emissive. I mean, you can't really tell. So I think that looks pretty good. And I should also point out that I did not make this character. Someone else on the PunchEmUp team, completely by himself, did this. He made the materials, he made the textures, he made the model, rigged it himself. Perfect. Fantastic. So, now that I have my character in here, as a skeleton, he has his rig, we can start to make the blueprint for him. So, in my Marley folder, I made some subfolders. I put all the rig stuff in the rigs folder, textures in the textures, materials in the materials, and then I don't have anything in the animations yet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a blueprints folder. In your blueprints folder, add a blueprint class, character. I'm going to name him _BP Marley. And then by default, you have your capsule component, you have your directional arrow, and you have your mesh, which by default is set to none, so it looks invisible. But what we can do is we can go in here and select Marley Rig, this tall, bulking man. And it's not facing the right way, so we're just going to set this to -90, bring him down. Let's see, I don't remember exactly what the number is. Is it -90 as well? Almost, but this capsule component's too small anyway for Marley. So what we're going to do, increase the height, drag Marley down to the bottom of it, and then we can turn off snapping just so it's a little bit easier. That's pretty close. That'll be good. That all looks good. Just compile and save it. So now, I'm going to make the movement first, and then I'll do the animations. So it's going to look a little goofy, but it'll be fine. So, in your event graph, you don't have anything besides these three. I'm just going to remove all of them. And if you want, you can pull up the third-person character blueprint that comes with the template, and you can use it as reference. I have it pulled up on the side over here. So, don't be afraid to not know how to do something. Okay, first, what we're going to do is we're going to come down here, and we are going to go to Input Mapping Context. So I'm going to name this IMC Marley. And then what this does is that it'll let you add input actions, and then it can communicate with your blueprint. So, come back here, go back down to input action. I'm just going to put this as IA. I mean, we could just do movement, honestly. So open that up, and then you see here triggers. What you're going to do is you're going to come down here. Honestly, you might be able just to leave it. We'll see. We'll come back to that. So, come in here, hit this plus sign, and then these three are the third-person templates. This is the one I just made. So IA movement, we'll do W, I hate that, S, A, and D. WSAD. So, if we come back here, we can do input action IA movement. That is the wrong one. There we go. Is it this one? Or is it this one? It's this one. Okay. A little confusing, but it's okay. Go back to our movement. Instead of bool, you're going to do axis 2D, I think. Split it. Yeah, that's what we want. That is what we want. So, what we're going to do for movement is that we are going to do, we're going to drag this off, add movement input, keep this all nice and pretty. We're going to get control rotation under pawn, and then you can leave this blank because it's going to be BP Marley. Let me drag this off a little bit. We're going to split this, get right vector. What is it? Why? Oh, yeah, get right vector, and then you're also going to have to split that as well. The X into the X, the Z into the Z. And then drag this into the world rotation, and then this one is going to be the X, I believe. And I don't like the way that this looks, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click this line to add a split node, and then I'll just cue it. So this should be left and right. So I'll select all this, press C on my keyboard, left, right. And then, actually, let's just continue. We can debug from there, because I can tell you right now, if you go to try it, it's not gonna look right. So, add movement input. Select that, hit Q. We can just copy this over here, and then over here you'll get forward vector. Right click, split it. And then you'll do the Z into the Z. And then world direction. And then the Y goes into the scale value. And then you can just use your arrow keys to push nodes down. And then that's okay. And then this should be forwards, backwards. Now, if we try to play, I have a feeling, 1, he won't move at all, or 2, he will move and just won't be moving correctly. So, make sure you save your work. Come over here. What we're going to do is, if it'll even do it here, let's go to Window. Where are you at? World Settings. Come over here to Game Mode, Override. Drag it out just a little bit. Selected Game Mode. Player controller, you can keep that the same. Default pawn. Go BP Marley. I forgot the camera, so that'll also help if I had one of those. So what we're gonna do, camera boom. Oh, sorry, that's not what it's called. Spring arm. We're going to add a camera to the back of this. That'll be fine. Drag it up a little bit, and then we can set a rotation on it. Just so once we press play, it's not directly just in our face. Okay, cool. So, Hitting WAS or D does nothing, as I expected. And that's probably because it has no idea that this IMC and this blueprint are connected. So what we can do is event begin play, cast to player controller, get the controller, off of this enhanced, let's see, is it this one? Yes. Is valid. Which one are you? That one. Do that. You can drag it off of this, add mapping context, and it'll work. If it's valid, put it into there, and then IMC Marley, and then we'll just do that. So this should give me some movement. There we go. Yeah, it's just lagging. So currently everything right now, WAS and D, is just right. And that is because right now all of these are giving the same value. So what I'm going to do is that I am definitely 100% going into the third person input and opening this IMC default, because if I go to move, it has all the stuff right here. And then by default, they also have arrow input. I'm just going to do WAS and D for this tutorial. Probably controller input will be a whole other video, but that's not important right now. So I'm just going to drag this off to the side of my other monitor. So, if we go back into our, I forget what these things are called, input mapping context, expand W. I think W, what does W have? It has a swizzle, and that's it for W. If you expand S, it will have a swizzle and a negate modifier, and that's it for S. So if you expand A, this one should only have a negate modifier, and then I believe D has nothing. Yes, D is just left alone. So now if we press play, A goes to the left, D goes to the right, W goes forward, S goes backwards. So there is our character movement. Obviously right now we don't have camera, so we're going to do that now. We are going to go back into our blueprints. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make my own input folder. Just so this is nice and tidy. Move here. Go into our input folder. And what we're going to do, we're going to go down to input, input action. I'm just going to say IA look. And I don't think we have to do anything here. We can go into this input, actions, we can go to look. It's just axis 2D. So set it to axis 2D under value type. And then under IMC, or your input mapping controller, you can, there we go. Which one are you? There we go. Because you can see where it says path, it says under Marley. So I look, and then what we can do is that we can go to mouse, and I think it's XY 2D axis, but let me just double check. Yes, it's mouse XY 2D axis. And then what we're going to do under modifiers, we are going to just add a negate modifier. And that's that. So we'll come here, just mapping context. Make sure that's all nice and lined up. Okay, we'll come down here And if you don't want to search for it, you can just come into your inputs, look, and just drag it into it. So, right click this, split it. We're going to add controller yaw input. And this is going to be the X. I don't know why I drug that so far away. And this is going to be left, right. And then drag off of this, add pitch. And this is going to be the Y. And then this is going to be up, down. And then this overall is going to be camera. And this is going to be movement. Then we'll just make sure this is all nice and lined up. So, now, this hopefully should work. There may be 2 more options we have to do. Okay. Left and right works, but up and down does not. And they're backwards. So, left goes right, right goes left. In your blueprint, go to your spring arm and check use pawn control rotation. If you don't do that, you will not be able to look up and down. So, left and right, still backwards. I don't know why. I always have a hard time knowing if up and down is backwards, because if I push my mouse up, I think that's fine, because you push it up, the camera looks up, you push it down, it looks down. I do not like third-person games at all. I do not like that whatsoever. Okay. And then the simple fix for left and right is just multiply -1 and then just drag it into the slot. Is that the best way? Probably not, because the base third-person character doesn't do that. How do they fix it? No idea. So now, left goes left, right goes right. Cool. So now we can move. Obviously it looks goofy because there's no animations at all, but it looks fine. But the other thing is that, as you can see, left and right turns the whole character. In third person, you don't really want that. You want to be able to turn around the whole character. So let's do that. And the way you solve that problem is you come back to your blueprint, you click on the blueprint itself, and then you can type in use controller, and then you uncheck this. And then once you uncheck that, you can come here and you should be able to just rotate around your character. Yes. But now, say I hit W, and I'm back, and I'm facing like the backside, Marley does not rotate. He is always facing the same way. So to fix that, what you do, you come back to your blueprint, click on character movement, and orient rotation to movement. And so now, no matter where I look, you can see it kind of lags behind. That should be a setting in that. But I'm facing that way. I can use D, A, S, D, W, and D. And he'll look in wherever I'm going now. Let's see. To change that, I think if you type in rotation rate. So by default it's 360. Let's pull this out a little bit and we can... I'm pretty sure the higher you set it, the faster it will be. So 50,000 should be instant, unless I have it backwards. Yeah, pretty instant. So you'll generally want to keep this pretty low. I think, let's try 450. See how quick that is. I mean, Marley's a big guy, so I won't be able to like turn on a dime. Probably even go a little bit lower than that. And as you can see, like that, like it looks pretty decent, like W and S, but like A, S, and D, they're pretty quick, but that's besides the point. That's, you can figure that out on yourself, whatever looks the best for you. Okay, so now we can do the jump. So what we have to do is that we have to go back to our input, and then right click, input action, IA, jump. And as far as I believe, this can just stay the same. I'm probably wrong, because when am I ever not? Yeah, no, it just stays the same. So we can close that out, come back to our input mapping, hit the plus sign. This one says Marley. And then if you hit this button and hit a key on your keyboard, it'll auto select it. So it's pretty handy. I don't think this needs any modifiers, but I'll just check. Spacebar. No. Okay, so that is just good to go. You don't have to add anything for that. So we'll do, actually we can just drag it in as the third person jump. And luckily for us, if you drag off of started, jump. It's that simple. And then completed, stop jumping. Boom. That should be all you need for the jump. Line that up. And now we can jump. If you hold down jump, you don't keep jumping, you have to press it each time. And I like that, so I'm going to keep it that way. It's a nice dancing little battle arena. Okay. So that pretty much is the movement. Done. I mean, all we're really missing with it is just animations. And like some... If you have certain attacks that rely on movement, obviously you'll have to come back here and change some stuff, but that's pretty much it. So, we are done with that for right now. And for this video, all I'm going to do is just movement animations. I'm still going to do like a tree and all that, but I'm not going to do the combos, if that's something, or like the attacking, if that's something that you would like to see. Let me know. I can make a tutorial, or I can link you to a really good tutorial. That's not me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my animations folder, and I am going to find the animations folder on my computer. Okay. And being I'm only going to do movement, I'm only going to bring in movement. So I selected all of my animations that I'm going to be using. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here, select Marley, import animations, skeletal mesh, yes, all of that. Just keep the same. And then you can hit import all. And this might take a second. Okay. That is all of those. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to delete all of these materials, because you do not need them, because all of these animations are referencing the skeleton, and you can actually select all of these skeletal meshes and physics assets and delete them as well. You only need the animations in here, and the animations are these green ones, not the yellow and pink ones. You can delete all of the yellow and pink. And let me just make sure I didn't select any animations. Hit the delete key, delete. So, what I like to do is, for testing, I like to drag out all of the animations and line them up to make sure that they are working properly. And this looks pretty silly. But drag them out one by one. These should all be working, but it is a good mindset to have. So you can see them all spread out, make sure that they're working as they should. And there are some animations in here that I'm going to explain why we have them. Because there are some in here that may not make sense when you're just like looking at the names and stuff like that. So, and some of these animation files might be old, so I might delete some of them. But let's see. So now if I hit play, I should be able to walk around and they're all playing. Yes. And they all seem to be working fine. Obviously this jump is a little goofy, but like I said, I'll explain it when we get there. Also, while I'm here, you can see his leg clipping here. I will not go over physics assets and cloth simulations in this video. Again, if that is something you would like to see, that will have to be its own video entirely, because physics assets and cloth sims are a headache, and this video is already going to be long. So, just for this video, he's going to be clipping through his clothes. Alright, so what we're going to do, if we go to our blueprint folder, we can go to Animation, Animation Blueprint, and then select your rig, hit Create, and I'm going to call it ABP_Marley. And if we open this, there should be pretty much nothing inside of it, which is okay. That's exactly what we want. We want to start from scratch. And this part may look confusing and hard to follow, so I apologize for that, but I am going to try my best to explain what I'm doing, why I'm doing, and how it works. So, and again, there is a third-person animation blueprint that you can reference. It is in the... Is it in characters? It is in characters. If you go to characters, mannequins, animations, there are the Manny and Quinn, but I'm pretty sure the Quinn is a child of the Manny. So you can just open the Manny and it'll have everything here. Some of this stuff you can reuse. I think you can reuse this, or some of it. There are some Boolean stuff here. I think this one you can reuse. But I am going to show you from scratch. Mostly from scratch. And forgive me, it has been a while since I made the original animation blueprint for Marley. So there might be a lot of cuts, there might be a lot of me making mistakes. I'll put some words on screen if I make a mistake. And I'll try to keep the cuts to minimum. So, right click. Is it state machine? Yes. Right click, state machine, and I'm going to call this locomotion. And you can just drag this into here. I mean, if you compile it, it'll say warning, because there's nothing in here. So, if you add a state, I'm going to name this idle, and this is going to be your entry, because this is where, I mean, obviously, when your character is not doing something, if he's not moving, he's not jumping, he is idle. So you want this to come off your entry. And there is no, like, math or anything happening, so it'll always enter into your idle, no matter what. Unless you have, like, your animation blueprint not set up properly in your blueprint. But we'll open this, and then we are going to go to our animations folder, and we are going to find the idle. So there is the idle. and I'm going to loop the animation, and I'm just going to drag it into here. So now if I compile, you can see Marley is in his idle animation. But in our blueprint, he's not. So what you have to do, you have to come to your mesh, clear that, and down here under the animation, make sure this says use animation blueprint, and under your animation class, find your animation blueprint. Mine was APB Marley. And as you can see, he's in his idle. And he does like a little head tilt, fixes his cable there, looks nice. And if we press play, obviously when I move around, he's still going to be in his idle, but it is playing. Even when I move. So like if I move, you can see his head is moving. He'll fix his cable. Perfect. Great. Fantastic. So let's go back to our locomotion. And we are going to drag off of this, add a state, and we are going to set it to not whatever that was. I'm going to set it to run. Marley does not have a walk. He only has a run. So if you have a walk, you can set it to walk, and then depending on how you start your shift or running, like if you hit the shift button, then you can do the math there. But I'm just gonna show exactly how Marley works. So from idle to run, we have to detect if obviously it is Marley moving, and I'm actually going to open the PunchEmUp Unreal project, because like I said, it's been a while and I need some refresher, so I'm gonna have that off to the side, but I'm still going to explain absolutely everything. I have the original pulled up on the side, and I'm glad I did, because again, if we come back here, press play, you can see that, which one is it? Where are you? There. This one is just running. It doesn't have a start, it does not have a stop. Over here, you can see a stop there, and I think this is the start, but that's besides the point. So I'm going to rename this to run start. I'm going to drag off of this one another state, and I'm going to set this one to run, and then I'm going to go down here, set it, add a state, run, stop, and then this will go back to idle. Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, is this the best tutorial to follow? God, no. This is just, like I said, for me to show how the other members of PunchEmUp how I do things, so we can all learn as a group the better way to do things. And this, hopefully, this will get you to at least put you in the right direction. And then hopefully other people in the comment section can help out, say what I'm doing wrong, provide a better video, which please, I hope you do. But this is how I do it. It's going to be messy, so I apologize. I will try to keep it nice and clean. Because if we look at the actual locomotion, this is what it looks like. So I'm going to keep it nice and clean. To transition between idle and run start, what we need is that we need to test if Marley is moving. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the animation blueprint event graph, and what we're going to do is we're going to cast to our character, and then you're going to put this into the object. We are going to promote this to a variable pp Marley, and then you can also right click to straighten, because if you just do the Q thing, it'll do that, which is awful. And then what we're going to do, we are going to test if we are moving. So, how do we do that? Well, we're going to go to variables, and we're going to put is moving. And this is going to stay a Boolean. So, drag it out, set. So, what we can do is that we can get this, copy it, which you might be able to do that, but just for the sake of my brain, I'm going to do it exactly how I had it before. We're going to get our velocity. We are going to do vector length. Ooh, what is going on? Greater than. If it is greater than 0, then we are moving. Then you can come out here, drag this all up, and then Q. And then what we can actually do is that we can drag this out, moving question mark. And then if you drag something out and you hit S on your keyboard, come on now, drag something out, hit S on your keyboard, you get a sequence node. And we're not going to use this right now for the moving, but we're going to need it later, so just have it just in case. So if we go back to our locomotion, idle to run start, if we can enter the transition, we get our is moving, and by default this will check if it is true. So if it is true, then we can enter our run start, which we need to grab the animation for, which is one of these. Run start. Okay, but this should still work. So if I move, yes. And obviously I can't go back to idle, but that is good. That is the start running from idle animation. So that works. So if we go back, click this, I think it time remaining. If I knew how to spell. Yes, get relevant anim time remaining. Or, yeah, time remaining ratio. For some reason, just the regular time remaining, I have noticed just sometimes does not work. And why that is, I have no idea. But if there is no time remaining in the run start animation, then we can enter our run. So, what this means is as soon as the run start animation is done, we are running. So if we come here to run and drag in our run, I think it's this one. Let's see. Yeah, it's this one. My apologies. Drag that in there. And then this is going to loop because it's our run. We don't want to just have it stop. And so now when we run, yes, we start off good and it transitions greatly into our running. And obviously we can't go back to idle because we haven't done that yet. So now, to go to our run stop, what we have to do is test if we are moving. Oh, that's not what I want. Drag this off, get. If is moving is not true, then we can transition to our run stop. And then where is our run stop? Run start, run stop. Drag it off here. We don't want this to loop. Don't know what's going on there. And then, again, just like with our run start, time remaining ratio equal to 0 until our idle. So now, we should be able, and we are going to change this stop, because like even if you just tap it, he like has a big reaction. But just for this, we're still using the old animations. He looks good. He transitions from running to stopping really well. He can start. He goes back to idle. And you can see there he slides a little bit if you start running in the middle of the run stop animation. I think you can just do this. And if you're moving, that should work. Because right now it has to wait for him to get to idle, so then he can start the run start. So in the middle of the stop, yeah, that looks good. So now he won't slide anymore because he'll do the run start in the middle of the run stop if we decide to do that, or like if the player decides to do that. Okay, now we will set up the jump, and then we'll come back to the running because we are not done with it yet. But so far, this is what you should have. It doesn't have to be exactly laid out like this. This is just so it looks decently clean, because it will get messy. So, what we're going to do, we are going to do the jump. And again, we are going to go back to our event graph. And let me drag this into, you know what, actually that'll be fine. We are going to drag off of this. No, sorry. We're going to drag off of this, and we are going to get movement component. And then we are going to test is falling, because this is just built into the character movement stuff that Unreal has. And then what we're going to do is we are going to do is in air. And then we can just set this to be true. And then I'll drag this up a little bit, split that, and then put this into a comment, is in air. Okay, so if we go back to our locomotion, drag off of the idle, add a state, jump, we can go in here, and then we can grab our jumping animation. I think it's this one. We can test that if it's really fast. Yes. Okay, so drag this off, put it in there. We don't want it to loop, because again, just like our run, we have a jump, we have a midair, and then we have a landing. But from the idle to jump, we are going to get is in air. So now if that's true, we can jump. And then obviously, again, we cannot go back to any other animation. We drag off of our jump to fall. Nope, sorry, I do that a lot. Fall. And then again, open this. Time remaining ratio is equal to 0. Go into our fall. I think ours is called midair. Drag it into there. We want this to loop. And then let me just drag this back closer. And then this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky, but just stay with me. We are going to go... Sorry, my computer does not like having 2 Unreal projects open. We are going to do a static landing. We are going to open this, find our static landing, and then we don't want this to loop, so we'll just drag it in there. And to test if we are doing the static land, we will do is moving and is in air. And these will be not booleans. Come on. And then just duplicate that. Not booleans for both, and then and. So, if we're not moving and we're not in the air, then we can do the static landing. So let me press play. First off, I'm just going to make sure that the falling is looped, so I'm just going to jump off the edge. And cool, glad we did that because something is wrong. Locomotion, jump. Did I not set up the fall? I did not. No, I did. Oh, right. It's because I did it from running, obviously. So let's do that real quick, real quickity quick. Run to jump is the same as idle. If we're in the air, jump. Okay, so now, if I jump off the edge, we jump, and our falling is looping. And let me change this kill volume here to be really, really low, so we can see that just a little bit longer. And you can rotate midair. And I'm gonna leave it like that, so. So that works. Now let's test our static landing. So to test our static landing, we're just gonna jump. And then, let's see. Yeah, it's because we don't have any way to go back to our idle currently. But I just wanted to test if that when we jump, we do the static landing. And let me do that one more time just because I did it in the middle of a running animation. We do the static landing. Cool. And then, again, kind of like with the run stop to run start, we can do the run start to jump, and that is the same as all of these. If we're in the air, if we're in the air, then we can enter it. And then I'm going to do that for all of these. And you can already see it's getting a little messy. So I apologize. And I apologize if I'm moving too quick. So now, come on. It's not happy with me at all. From our run start, again, don't have an idle. Let me just do that real quick. Come back to this. from the static landing to idle, all we are going to do is time remaining ratio equal to 0, play. So now when we land, we should just go back to idle. Cool. So, why do we have a static landing and a different landing? Well, as you can see, we have one for when Marley is not moving when you jump. So if you run and jump, you wouldn't do a standing land like this. Like this is just if you're standing there. And you have to have something different. You can't just run and then do a static land. So, what we are going to do is off of our fall. Let me put this up here. I apologize for it not running smooth. I, like I said, don't have smart enough brain to be able to do this all from memory, or just know how to do it. But off of our fall, we are going to do another state, dynamic land, and then for this is where I gave like a reason why I gave a warning that this is definitely not the best way to do this. Okay? So keep that in mind. Hopefully this can still point you in the right direction. So, the dynamic land. I had problems in the actual PunchEmUp blueprint to where if I just get is moving and is in air, we are no longer in the air, so this is not a Boolean, and this is still true. So we do an and Boolean, both of these. Fantastic. Plop it in there. And theoretically, this would work if I went to the dynamic land and put the dynamic land in there. And then there are a few of these, so I'm just going to have to see which one is which. Probably this one. So, when I'm running, and I jump and I land and I'm still holding one of the movement keys, it should play that dynamic land. And it does. And then obviously that's just because we can't go back to another animation because I haven't put that in yet. But it seems like it's working just fine in here. Because before I had to do this thing where you were testing if the character was still holding a movement button, blah blah blah. It should be fine. If I run into that problem, I'll just have to do that again. But from the dynamic land, we are going to go to our run, and what we're going to do is, if we're moving, and time remaining ratio, good lord, is equal to 0, and come on. So this should work. In the original one, I also have that like holding a movement button math there. So hopefully this will work. So if we're running, and we jump, and we land, and then we're still running, we enter seamlessly back into our run. That is working great, and I'm glad I did not have to do any jank nodes. Oh, you see that? What went on there? Okay, I know what that is. That is the... Oh, where am I? That is the jump from the dynamic land, I believe. So, we'd also want the same math we had from the run to our dynamic land. So, if we're moving... No, sorry. If we're in air, then we jump. And I think I did that to the wrong one. Did I do that straight to the jump? Yes, okay, cool. So now, in the middle of our dynamic land, we can jump again. So that's good. So that is all of that set up. That is the idle, the running, the jumping, falling, the static landing, and the dynamic landing. If I'm not mistaken, that is just base character movement. Done. That's completely done. We have our character Marley here. We can rotate the camera around him. We can move in every direction. We can jump just fine. We have a dynamic landing, and everything looks great. Oh. Okay. Cool. So what that is when I jump and I'm holding move, but I land and I'm no longer holding move. Or I think it's just doing that every single time I land now. Let's see. Okay, no. It's only if I do something like that. So how do we fix that? I'm pretty sure that is what I did not want to do. So this is Messi. Not the football player. We are going to do some slop, some sloppage, some not good stuff. We are going to make a variable. Is holding move. And then we are going to do that every single time we trigger that. And we're going to set that to true. And oh, I'm sorry. I was wrong. That still goes into that. This is at the end of this. Set to true. And then at the beginning is where we drag off of here on completed and set it to false. Now, if we go to our animation blueprint, we go to the dynamic land, or the fall to dynamic land. What we are going to do is that we are going to drag off our reference here to our character. And we are going to get is holding move. And we're just going to put that into this and. Oops. A little too far. And that should just fix that. Let me double check. Okay. If I jump and I let go of the move when I go to land, I do the static landing. But if I'm still holding move, I do the dynamic landing. And you may have noticed when I move and I do the static landing, it kind of looks a little weird. It looks like a hiccup. Oh, sorry, I forgot to let go. How did that happen? Okay, so we need to do the dynamic landing back to idle. So if you're moving and then you let go instantly, it does that. But like I was saying, if you do just the normal jump, it looks fine. But if you're running, it kind of like stops midair, and that is because our animations are not set to use root motion, and that's just because we have to fix that in the animations because our root bone is weird. But if your animations are set to use root motion, then you can do a proper landing. Anyway, let's fix this. If we land and we stop moving, we need to instantly go to... Oops, sorry, getting lost. We need to go to our run stop. Which is funny, because I don't think I ever did that in the original PunchEmUp either. But dynamic land to run stop. And this is going to be... This should just be is moving, not Boolean. And so now, if we run and jump, still move, and then let go, as soon as we start to run a little bit, we stop running. So, cool. I believe that is all the movement set up. We have our idle to run, or from idle to our run start, that works fine. Run start to running, that works great. Run to run stop, dynamic land to run stop, all of that is set up. And like I said, I'm not going to go into combat in this video. That will probably be a different one. But before I go, I want to change where our camera is because I don't like the way it looks. I kind of like it to be more of kind of like how The Last of Us is where it's over the shoulder. It's not like in you, but you see there's some problems here. If you just move the camera boom, or spring arm, it does not work correct. So, how do we fix that? We go into our blueprint, and instead of moving the spring arm, all you do is that you change this socket offset. And let's go something like 80, 50. That's like pretty decent over the shoulder. I think it looks pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, that works better. And so now, when we rotate Marley, the camera doesn't like jolt somewhere else. It just stays perfectly in this position. And then as we can see, all this works good. So yeah, that is how you set up a movement system locomotion tree with your own character. If you have any questions, let me know below, and then I will definitely respond and try to help you with any problems that any of you have. And if there's something you want to see in a video, let me know, like the combat. I probably definitely will make a video on the cloth physics and the physics asset to get this cloth working. And then just to show you an example, I'll just bring this over, set this back to Epic, so we can see the cloth physics. This is another test that I did, and you can see the cloth looks pretty good here on all of these animations. So that'll be a whole other different video. And of course I have a bunch of errors. But yeah, that is all for today. I hope you learned something, or I hope I pointed you in the right direction, or you just had a fun time watching. Like I said, any questions, anything you want to see particularly, let me know, and I will try to have that out. Have a good one.